It's cold, bleak and desolate, and it's about to become the subject of a series of artworks by artist and sculptor John Kelly. John Kelly is the recipient of this year's Australian Antarctic Arts Fellowship. As a painter, he'll be using what he calls the look and put method, which is code for painting fast. I guess it's cold out there. John Kelly is about to embark on the voyage from Hobart. He spoke with Mike Woods.
It will be obviously very, very cold, but I'm informed that as you get closer to the longest day of the year, I'm hoping that that'll allow me to be out painting. And of course, the light will be incredible. So there's got to be some point in the day that I can get out.
And you're going to be there for 3 months. What do you think that is going to be like?
Personally, I think it's quite a quite a period of time to focus on one's art, and I think that'll be fantastic. The ultimate white cube, if you like, if the whiteness of the gallery and the whiteness of the Antarctic. So maybe it's the perfect environment for a visual artist.
Tell us a little bit about how you prepare for a trip like this. What do you need?
Well, technically, flying from Europe with basically a studio that had to be compacted down into a box. So my studio kind of packs down into that. And then, of course, the safety gear, that the layers upon layers of clothing. So all that's necessary, and also part of the challenge is that can you paint in that type of clothing.
In terms of your supplies that you need to paint, is there anything special that you're taking because of those freezing temperatures?
Well, I'm working with oil paints, which generally would, having worked in freezing conditions in Ireland, Europe, I'm trusting that they'll stand up pretty well. I'm not taking down any solvents or anything like that, so it'll be a very direct response with the paint onto canvases, which will be glued to a board to give some stability to what I'm painting on. There's actually the wind, I think, that would be the greatest difficulty. Antarctic is actually the driest continent on Earth, but it's the wind that would affect the painting.
So it will be quite spontaneous.
Yeah, and the difficulties of doing it, the experience of doing it, I think will be very much part of it. Whether it succeeds or fails as artwork is really not the point. It's the actual challenge of doing it.
What is it that appeals to you? Because many would say the landscape there is quite bleak and quite desolate. What is it that attracts you?
Well, first of all, it's on the edge of something. It's say as opposed to the Australian landscape, which we think of as very the desert, I guess, the great Nolan painting. It's that edginess, I think, that is appealing. Is to go somewhere where few people have gone to make art, and to just confront the challenge of trying to make something from it.
Do you think you may be challenged for inspiration?
I think looking at something as minimal as that, the preconceived notion of it being quite bleak and nothing there. I think there's a challenge in that in itself. Sidney Nolan and Fred Williams could paint the Australian outback as a desert where it's also not dissimilar in the opposite sort of way. That bleakness and that vastness, I guess.
You've spoken about the artworks that you may produce. Will that only be restricted to painting because you are also known for sculpture? I'll
be doing some drawings, and in the past I've done some laser cut out steel sculptures. So in the back of my mind I do have a fallback position, maybe making some sculpture when I return. But generally, what I'll be, I see it primarily as a painting project.
Tell us where you'll be and who you'll be with.
I'm taking the ship down to Davis to begin with, and then that's a 12-day voyage. That'll be followed by a flight over to Mawson, and that's where I'll spend the majority of my time, in Mawson. But on the way back, I'll come back through Casey Station as well. It's the first voyage down. It's called B1, and it'll be taking down a variety of scientists and maintenance people and flight crews to relieve the people who have wintered over. So I think there's about 100 of us going down on the ship.
John Kelly, Australian artist and sculptor, heading to Antarctica later this week for a 90-day stay, and using what he calls the look and put method, so he can paint fast and get in from the cold, I imagine.